back to another exciting episode of This and That with Chris. Today I'm working on the MK1 Rabbit 1980 diesel Rabbit. Electrical issues. All of a sudden my wiper stopped working, my blower motor stopped working, the rear defogger stopped working, and I think that was everything I noticed. And it seemed odd. So the wiper motor was weak already, so I immediately assumed the wiper motor was shot, and I got a different one, which was a blessing anyway, but I plugged it in and it wouldn't work either. So I knew there was a problem, and I got investigating the electrical circuit, and there was no power to the fuse box or to any of the components that we needed. And it's number 10 and 11 fuse in the fuse box that control those circuits, and they're all kind of joined together. It seems like there's no method to the madness, but neither of them had any power. So I got looking into these relays under the dash, and there's one under there that's called the load reduction relay, and it cuts power to several components while the engine cranks over. And if it fails, it permanently cuts power to those components and to the fuse box. That way there's no power supplied to any of those components. So those two fuses were dead on both ends. I had to use one of these in my box of Volkswagen junk and put it in, wouldn't work. So then I got thinking maybe there was something else wrong, but today I went and bought a new one, load reduction relay. I went to Napa Auto Parts, and he looked it up on their system, and they call it a multifunction relay. So good to know both names when you're looking for the part. And here's the part number from Napa Auto Parts. So I'm going to show you all under here. First, before I call in there though, I already have replaced it and the new one's in. So all my things started working again. I have a blower motor, wiper, defrost, everything's working again. So what was wrong is, as you can see, this relay just has a cover on it. I'm going to show you where this is in the fuse box and how to remove it, but I've already removed my faulty one, and this cover just pops off so you can look inside, and if it's black and burnt like that, it's probably no good. It also smells burnt. It smells, and it's visually burnt, so I suspected probably not a very good part anymore. So I went and bought a new one today, put it in, as stated, everything works. So if you want to inspect your having electrical issues, want to inspect it, pop the cover off, have a look at it, this is what you're looking at. It should be clean, shiny, free of moisture, free of corrosion, free of anything other than clean copper connections. This is no good. So we'll go under and I'll show you. Right here is your fuse panel. This opens up, and this is 10 and 11. The numbers are on the front. You may not be able to see it in the camera, but on your fuse box you should be able to see in the clear plastic the number of fuse, 10 and 11. That runs those multifunctions all through a couple of circuits that seem to be all tied together. I'm not an electrical expert, but I can diagnose electrical problems in a car, and this is how I did it. So this here is what they call, Volkswagen calls it a load reduction relay. This is the new one. Napa Auto Parts was calling it a multifunction relay. So when you're looking for it in Canada at a Napa Auto Parts, you might have to call it a multifunction relay. It goes in there, it's brand new, it solved all the problems. When you're taking it out, inspect your connections to make sure that you don't have heavy corrosion where it plugs into the fuse panel. If it does, you're gonna have to find a fuse panel. I have some corrosion, as you can see, but it's not enough to cause any grief. But if it's too corroded, you are going to have to replace the panel, and they're getting hard to find, so good luck to you there. Anyway, that's the new one, that's where it goes. This is the old one. It was right in there. It's really all I can say is try that first. Basically, if you're having loss of wiper motor and blower motor at the same time, I would come check this $14 relay before I got too involved in anything else, and go from there. If it doesn't work, then you need to diagnose, check for power to your component to make sure your component is still working. By component, I mean wiper motor and blower motor. All you need to do is supply 12 volts of power to the power supply and ground it out, and the motors will run to confirm that they work. And then you want to be checking for power on these two fuses. If you do not have power to either of those two fuses on either side, that means you have no power to that circuit in the fuse box, and I would be investigating this relay. If that relay doesn't work, that doesn't solve the problem, I would be investigating this fuse block. They're a common problem, and they're a chintzy, crappy looking build. When I look close at this, it's not very good. I can see why it can cause issues, and I wouldn't be surprised if I have to replace this one someday. But as of right now, I got everything working again, and it all seems good. So we'll just go from there. Alright, thank you all for tuning in to my electrical diagnostics video for MK1 Rabbits. I have done a little bit of research, and it looks like MK2, Jetta, and Rabbit and a few other models have that similar fuse box and have this similar problem with the load reduction relay. Apparently Volkswagen uses this right up till today. It's a common thing. It won't be the same type, but Volkswagen uses load reduction relays in their electrical circuits, and they do fail commonly, apparently, just according to the research I did online. I'm not an electrical expert, but that's what I figured out by working on this car. So if anybody has any questions or comments, please post them below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. Check out my MK1 Volkswagen Rabbit playlist.